Hey there YouTube, my name is The Broken Machine, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a brief guide to domination in Battlefield. The footage that you're going to be seeing on screen is a 36:8 gameplay on the map Siege of Shanghai in Domination, of course. This is from the beta. This is not actual game footage from the actual release. This is purely beta footage. Just got to put that out there. So let's get into what Domination is all about. Well, Domination is about capping flags. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see players make is that they often try to go for the free flags, so a triple cap. Now, that is not a good idea. Now, the reason it's not a good idea is that if you only control 2 flags, then you'll have a much greater control over the spawns. So, for example, if you hold Alpha and Bravo, the enemy will only spawn around Charlie. Now, if you own Bravo and Charlie, the enemy will only spawn around Alpha. So you can see here, if you hold these 2 flags, whether it's Alpha and Bravo or Bravo and Charlie, then the enemy can only really come from one area. So that'll make it a lot easier. You'll have less people flanking, less people getting around the side of you. So that's the kind of thing you want to go for. Now, what about holding Alpha and Charlie? Well, this tends to not be a good idea, because if the enemy is spawning on the middle flag, then they'll have an easy route to go to Alpha or Charlie. So that is not recommended. Don't do that. That's a really bad idea. The spawn's going to mess up and you're just going to have a complete mess. Now, triple capping, I would only recommend doing it if you are in full teams with good players who are communicating and well organized. In the competitive scene, this is a tactic that is certainly doable, especially with the smaller teams. However, saying that, if you find that you do have a rather weak team, you're just playing with randomers, then a triple cap may put you at an advantage. It's not really recommended, but if you're really kind of sucking, not you personally, but your team is really not doing very well, then it might be an option to try. At the start of the round, this is probably the most important time of the match. Now, what tends to happen is a lot of players will rush to the initial flag, so Alpha or Charlie or the nearest one to them. You don't really want to do this. What you want to do is you want 1, maybe 2 people on the initial flag, and then you want the rest of your team to go for the middle flag. Now, the reason is that the middle flag, which tends to be Bravo, is usually a real game changer. Having this flag means more control over the map and better control over the spawns, and this at the start of the match, this is the time to get that flag, so you really want to make sure you head there as quickly as you can. If you find that you have spawned in late, you've taken too long changing your kit, it's always a good idea to throw grenades over at Bravo or whatever the middle flag may be on the map you're playing on. Any kind of grenade that you have, explosives, so that's always a good idea to do. The maps, despite developers and map designers and any kind of designer of the game trying to make the maps as balanced as they can, each map tends to be favored by one side. So in the case of Siege of Shanghai, this map tends to be better if you cap Bravo or Charlie, and the reason is that having Charlie, you can use the roof above Charlie to overlook a small area of the Charlie flag itself, and you get a nice lookout over the Bravo flag, and also you can see where enemies are coming from the right side of Alpha. So that's usually a better combination to take on this particular map. Having said that though, if you have a decent team and the other team holding Bravo and Charlie are fairly weak, what tends to happen is the weak players tend to think the roof is the strongest position, so all of them will stay up there, so you can kind of use that trick to trick them into staying up there and controlling Bravo and Alpha. That doesn't happen all the time. It's quite rare, but you tend to find the people who tend to try and play for kills will all sit up there, so you can often trick them into constantly spawning in that area, and you know that can be quite a good tactic to use. As for the flags themselves, each one has a certain capital area. You don't necessarily have to be right where the flag is, you can be right outside. It's usually best to not be directly on the flag and try to find a place that is next to cover, so behind a truck for example, or near an escape route. So if you are the only one on the flag, you know you have an escape route to get out of there if you're outnumbered. As for weapon choices, assault rifles, SMGs, carbines, that kind of thing tend to be more suited to the close quarters style that is often in Domination. Suppressors I would recommend. They are ideal but not entirely necessary. It really depends. If you're the kind of player who wants to flank, you know, and get right behind the enemy, then suppressors are really ideal. And at this kind of range that you're going to be engaging with, the damage drop off, you know, it won't make much of a difference. As for recon and using sniper rifles, these tend to not be the wisest of choices, but they can work for more experienced players. Now onto the middle area of the map. On this particular map, the middle area could be considered as the containers in between Charlie and Alpha. I'd really recommend trying to stay away from these areas, as they tend to be very high in traffic and you risk dying very easily. On this particular map you can be spotted from the roof up there, from Alpha flag, Charlie flag, nearly said frag there, Bravo flag, so try to stay away from these areas. You can get a lot of kills in these areas however, but these tend to be, you want to use these as a transition area from one flag to the other. So yeah, you don't really want to be in there for too long. Now onto flanking tactics. In Domination and close quarters, you always want to flank as much as you can. In close quarters, you really don't want to be attacking straight on, as in these close quarters style engagements, you're gonna find that in these your connection really matters. So for example, if you are against someone who is similar skill, you know, ADS, aiming, staying on target, the person in close quarters with the better connection is going to win 9 out of 10 times. So really make sure you flank as much as you can, because you don't want to be losing out to connection all the time. And often if you go straight in, attacking from straight on, you'll often find that you'll be engaging with multiple enemies, and thus you'll probably lose the gunfight anyway, especially in close quarters, because you'll have tons of people with shotguns, assault rifles, carbines, all pointing directly at you and not having to aim very much, so you're probably going to die anyway. So yes, flank as much as you can. Often in Domination, players tend to try and play for kills. Now, I would not recommend that. I would actually just purely recommend playing the objective, as playing the objective more often than not actually gets you more kills and more points than just trying to play purely for kills. Having said that though, if you find that you're on your own, you're not with your friends or a proper team, and you're the only one capping flags, and you have no help in defending them, that's the kind of time to purely go for kills. Sometimes in these kind of situations, if you're a very good player at getting a lot of kills, you'll often find the enemy team will have all their eyes focused on you, direct all of their attention on trying to stop you on your kill streak, and sometimes what happens is the weaker member of your teams will have an opportunity to capture the flags. So that might be a good idea. I'd only recommend doing that when your team kind of sucks, Going back to close quarters, I've seen a lot of people knifing. Now, knifing is a really, really bad thing to do. Knifing, while you're in the animation, you're completely disabled, so you can't shoot or anything. So that really sets you up as an easy target. So only try to knife as a last resort, and only knife from behind when you're flanking. Don't go for the front knife. You know you're gonna die. It's not gonna happen. If you're using knives because you've run out of ammo, you know, always switch kits. You know, it doesn't matter what kit you pick up. In close quarters, you know, just pick whatever is there. Even if it's a sniper rifle or an LMG, just pick it up. Always use the class you have to is full potential. So assault classes always drop ammo, no, med pack, sorry. Support, you know, drop ammo, and if you're using recon, always drop the motion sensors whenever you can. In close quarters, you know, domination, the motion sensors are more useful than the laser designators. What else? Oh yeah, as for the motion sensors, you know, don't drop them on flags. Drop them away from flags. So, for example, if you're losing Bravo, the game will tell you. But if you so you don't need to throw the motion sensors directly on the flag. It's better to throw them down the flanking routes and the routes that the enemy is going to take coming to the flag itself. I see a lot of players just throwing all their motion sensors directly on the flag, which is a complete waste of time when the game tells you that you're losing the flag. So yeah, just use the kit to its full potential. Simple. A lot of people don't do this, and it's quite honestly, it's very frustrating. And last but not least, communication. Turn your mic on and your music off. Be short, be precise, you know, for example, losing A, losing C, Charlie Roof, B truck. You know, you don't have to know all the callouts that, you know, the players in the competitive scene, for example, there tends to be a standard set of callouts that tends to be used in those kind of scenes. You don't have to know all them. Just a basic description is better than, you know. There's always a guy that's on the mic that's like, guy is on that roof up there, you know, that kind of thing. The very you have no idea that they could mean anything. So, you know, just be precise. Just simple stuff. Charlie Roof. It can be that easy. I'm going to end it there. The gameplay is going to carry on. That is all for today. This was just a quick guide to Domination. You know, Domination is a pretty fun game mode. It's a lot better in teams. If you use these tips wisely, you'll be completely a much better player and a more useful member of the team. So thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.